Okay, welcome back. So the market's right there. We're up. We started with a 50-point gain. We're up about 40 points. So yes, there has been about a 10-odd point slip which has happened, but I mean not very much beyond that. Just take a very quick look at what's happening in the broader space before we go any further. NIIT Tech, just stocks which are moving with lots of volumes. NIIT Tech, we should highlight 3.25 higher. Praj saw a move yesterday. It's up another 4.34% right now. Balkrishna Industries is up 2% or so. Kiri Industries will come up. That's up 9%, 9.5 actually, 483. Pretty large volumes as well. RBL Bank is up about 2.6%, 580 nearly. ICICI Pru, which has basically been selling off, is up about 2.75%. And of course, I mean, we've been talking about stocks like HT Media, etc., which have got a 20-odd% pop. But actually, Matrimony is the other one, which is up almost 9%. And it's got decent volumes today. Yeah. So those are a few names moving around. 42 on the Nifty. The GST Council meeting is going to be held later this week, the 10th. And we've been putting out the agenda in terms of what may be considered at that particular meeting. We understand that a special report of the government on revenue mobilization efforts is likely to be presented. This after the revenue shortfall, which the government is very concerned about, has increased once again for the period April till December. Timsy is here with those details. Timsy.
Well, as you rightly mentioned, the Revenue Mobilization GOM has submitted its report, and this special report will be considered by the GST Council on January 10th, that is tomorrow when they meet. Now, if you see the analysis that government data shows right now, it shows that the revenue shortfall during the period of April to December has slipped back again to 13%. This number had recovered to 10% during the period of April to November. But yes, after the dismal performance of November figures which were recorded in December, the figure has again slipped back to 13-odd%. Now, if you see the overall moving of states, how states are performing, the worst performing states and union territories continue to be Pondicherry with a revenue shortfall of about 42%. Now, this again becomes a major concern because a lot of states and union territories are below 20% of a revenue shortfall. And remember, government has said that they would be compensating states, that too at an annual growth of 14%. That means 42% negative will be first given as a compensation, and then a 14% growth also will be given out as a compensation. So it becomes heavy on government's pocket to compensate such states such as Pondicherry, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir. Even Delhi has again slipped back to about 20-odd% of a revenue shortfall, which was earlier seen as to be one of the good performing states with almost a revenue gain. So if you see all this math across India, out of 31 states and union territories, only 5 of them continue to remain in good healthy figures, and rest all are under a good shortfall figure. So let's see what is the final move that government takes tomorrow when they consider this special report.
Right, MC, thank you so much for that. But keep an eye out on Bank Nifty. Now, that one is slipping as we speak. We have been pointing out how SBI has seen a sharp slip, and add to that an ICICI Bank now as well. And that way you can see that there's a sudden sharp knock coming in some of these banking and financial names. Add to that Indiabulls Housing, because that is also seeing a tad bit of pressure, as well as Bajaj Finance is the other name that should come up for you on your screen. So Bank Nifty and the PSU banks losing as we speak. But moving on, then we learn from banking sources that Jet Airways and Etihad Airways representatives met with SBI officials yesterday. Ritu Singh is joining us with the details. Ritu, tell us what actually transpired in this meeting.
That's right. We're given to understand that representatives of both Jet Airways and Etihad met with officials of State Bank of India, which is the lead lender in the consortium, to discuss a turnaround plan for the company. And we're given to understand that during the meeting, it was told to Jet Airways that no fresh loans would be extended to the company until the results of EY's forensic audit on its book is completed, and that report is out. Also, do remember, Jet Airways defaulted on payments on the 1st of January, and therefore under RBI's Feb 12 circular, banks will have 180 days to resolve the account. Otherwise, the company will have to be sent to a bankruptcy court. Now, we do understand that a financial restructuring plan is being discussed where lenders will convert part of the debt into equity in this restructuring plan based on the result of the forensic audit report. Also, we're given to understand that banks have sought Naresh Goyal and Etihad together to bring in fresh capital infusion into Jet Airways, after which, if the restructuring is implemented, Naresh Goyal's stake will fall from 51% to below 20%. It has been made very clear that banks do want a change in management and they do not want Naresh Goyal to continue in his controlling position and or even have a board seat. But we are given to understand that there has been a compromise reached between the bankers and Naresh Goyal, where it is agreed that perhaps Naresh Goyal's son, Nivan Goyal, could take his position on the board, but of course the stake would remain below 20%. These are broadly the contours that have been discussed. Remember, a large chunk of repayment, that is over 1,700 crore rupees, is due between now and March, and it is possible that banks also give some moratorium on these loan repayments to Jet once the restructuring plan is implemented.
Okay, Ritu, thank you very much. Ritu, by the way, is also tracking what's happening with Yes Bank. But, I mean, take a look at what the volatility in the stock. It was trading at, what, the 190-ish kind of levels. It had gone to about 195, I think, yesterday at one point. So it's basically a 10 rupee range. But, it's interesting given the fact that there's a board meet underway maybe right now. And the stock seeing a bit of a sell-off at this point in time. We're not sure whether we'll actually get a list of names. Unlikely that the bank, as part of, would they put out with the list of names which are going to be sent to the RBI and things like that. But what we understand is, they'd sent 3 names to the Reserve Bank of India in the order of preference, and then the RBI will get back to them with what they're okay with. So 186 nearly on Yes Bank. The other one is IndusInd Bank, and the numbers were supposed to be out 130, 145 there. I guess we understand a bit delayed, but should be out soon. So Abhishek is here with a quick check of what to really watch out for, the big ones, the big numbers. Abhishek, what are we watching out for?
Well, Prashant, to begin with, this is the first time that analysts on street are working with a decline in profits on a YOY basis and on a sequential basis. So Nomura is expecting a slippage of 2,400 crores, and that compares to about 419 crores in the previous quarter. Why is the slippage so elevated? Because they expect IL&FS to default. Now, remember that IndusInd Bank has an exposure of 3,000 crore to IL&FS Group, and IndusInd Bank is perhaps one of the few banks who has an exposure to the holdco of IL&FS. So provisions are expected to remain elevated for IndusInd Bank, and that could hurt the profitability of the company. Now, remember that, in the previous quarter, the loan growth was at 32.5%, but credit to deposit ratio inched up to about 97%. So this quarter, we saw the liquidity crisis, and deposit growth may not be as high as expectations. So loan growth could be around 23 to 25% levels. Now, the low-cost deposit share, which is at 43.5%, coupled with retail portfolio, should aid in net interest margin being at and above 3.8%. X of IL&FS, the gross NPA is expected to remain stable, and anything below 1.3% will be positive. Our polls suggest NII growth of 25%, while for the first time, the net profit on a YOY basis can decline by 13.3% to about 811 crores. Back to you.
Okay, Abhishek, thank you so much for that. But if you look at the markets, that is losing a tad bit of steam because the Nifty is now sitting with a gain of just around 15 points. And most of its downfall has actually been led by the financial space. We have been pointing out Yes Bank has seen a sudden knock. SBI as well as ICICI Bank have been coming under pressure. And even if you look at the broader markets, there are a lot of names that are coming under pressure from the financial space. Take a look at Canara Bank. That one has seen a sharp knock. Add to that an IDFC, a Union Bank, Syndicate Bank, all of these PSU's name coming under a lot of pressure. Other than that, Ultratech Cement should also come up for you on the screen, and Grasim, because they also have seen a tad bit of fall. So keep an eye out on the markets. But it's a wrap on this edition of Midcap Radar from Prashant, myself and the team. Your stocks when we return.